After yesterday's climb of Mount Etna, the balance of control of the Giro will shift from the general classification back to the sprinters for the next few stages. It'll be a celebration for Nibali as the race finishes in his hometown of Messina, but a good day for him today will just be staying out of trouble, as it will be for all the GC contenders. This is a quiet stage, a breakaway of only 2 riders' escapes, as if the inevitable bunch sprint has resulted in a collective shrug of why bother? Truly, nothing happens until a race reaches the final circuits in Messina. The peloton is flying with 7 kilometers to go as they enter the final lap of the finishing circuit. Bahrain is on the front, setting the tempo, racing to that magical 3 kilometers to go mark, and perhaps to show off for the home fans of Nibali. Luka Pibernik is on the front and a gap opens up. He looks back, sees daylight, and presses forth. This is strange for a domestique to move off like this, but maybe there's team orders, right? If we flash back to stage 1, Lucas Postelberger won in a similar fashion. Is Bahrain hoping for a similar miracle? Unfortunately for Pibernik's ego, it was not team orders or a miracle. He simply forgot how many laps were left and sits up, celebrating what he thinks is his first stage win. But there's actually 5 kilometers of racing left, in what will probably be the most embarrassing moment of this year's Giro. He has to get back in the group and pretend that nothing happened. After that, the sprint drama is all that matters, which we're going to pick up with 800 meters to go. Lotto is on the front for Greipel, though he might be a few wheels too far away to make a difference. They're fighting against a headwind on this day, and timing the sprint perfectly is key, now more than ever. A little too soon and Mother Nature will punish you. A little too late and you'll run out of road to reach your top speed. The Lotto rider pulls out the front, and Team Orica takes the lead on one side, but Quickstep has the other, organized with 3 men, with Gaviria ready to strike. 350 meters to go, and it's now Bora Hansgrove in control. Irishman Sam Bennett in second wheel, Gaviria right behind. This is an ideal situation for Gaviria. If Bennett launches early, say 250 or 200 meters left, Gaviria can let Bennett eat the wind and ideally come around at the very last second to win. That's exactly what happens. Bennett goes just after the 200 meter sign and Gaviria follows, not coming alongside until the last 75 meters. He celebrates, arms wide open, and he has also made history. Gaviria has become only the 2nd rider in the 21st century, after Damiano Cunego, to win 2 Giro stages while under the age of 23. It seems as if we are witnessing an unstoppable force be created in front of us. Bob Jungels remains in the Maglia Rosa, and Gaviria, for the first time, pulls on the points leader's jersey, one that he wants to keep all the way to Milan. The Giro D'Italia has finally reached the mainland of Italy, right on the southernmost tip. Today's course takes on some bigger climbs at the start, Category 3 being the highlight, and then some rolling climbs towards the end. This is a route for a breakaway to succeed. The sprinters know the terrain at the end is too difficult, too chaotic to control. The GC riders know there's no places to really gain an advantage in the final 20 kilometers, and would rather finish safely than risk anything this early in the Giro. So, when the breakaway of 5 gets away, the conversation begins. Who's the strongest rider here? We can start with who might not be the weakest, but who's the least known. Simone Andretta from Bardiani CSF. He's in his 7th year as a professional, and results-wise, there's not a lot to speak of, but it's the Giro. Anything can happen. Trek Segafredo has not just 1, but 2 riders here. First is a young man from Denmark, Mads Pedersen. There's a recurring theme this year of young riders debuting and making their presence known quickly, and Pedersen could very well add his name to that list. He won a stage of the Tour of Norway last year, so he understands, at least on some level, what it might take to win today. However, it's more likely Pedersen will be playing support to his teammate Jesper Stuyven. Stuyven is already a Grand Tour stage winner. He won stage 8 of the 2015 Vuelta a España, but that was in more of a bunch sprint finish. Stuyven was also 4th at Paris-Roubaix this year, so it is known he's a strong, talented rider. So is Sylvain Dillier from Team BMC, a former Swiss time trial national champion. Results-wise, the resume isn't as strong, sure, but this is his 4th Grand Tour start, and that requires a base level of talent. The 5th rider in the break has already made a name for himself just 5 stages ago. It's the hero of stage 1, Lucas Postelberger. Postelberger is quickly presenting himself as a star and winning a 2nd stage within a week, which surely elevate him to another level. We come to the last 6.5 kilometers. The breakaway is all still here, and the gap guarantees one of these 5 will win. Well, 4 now, since Pedersen has just pulled off the front after setting the pace for Stuyven, coming to a near stop. 5.6 kilometers to go, and Stuyven attacks. It's enough to shed Andrade, but Dillier and Postelberger still stay in, following the attack, but not without difficulty. Less than 1 kilometer, and the trio is spread across the road. 200 meters left, and they are all playing a dangerous game, watching and waiting for each other. It's Dillier who moves first, accelerating between Stuyven and Postelberger. Postelberger responds a hair faster than Stuyven, but he doesn't have the legs. It's Stuyven that gets onto Dillier's wheel, and it's now a duel. As flares go off, smoke in the sky, Dillier continues to lead. Stuyven pops out to try to come alongside in these final 75 meters. He gets just about even with Dillier. This is where, some say, all those silly marginal gains come into play. The aerodynamics, the fueling throughout the day. Alternatively, and far more romantically, this is where nothing matters but the will and the heart. Today, on stage 6, by half a wheel, it was Dillier. Behind, the main group with all the contenders finished together, and Bob Jungels will get to continue looking resplendent in pink. This stage will be fast to go over, because outside of Patrick Dempsey appearing at the start, it's straightforward. Breakaway goes, breakaway is caught. It's high speed all the way to the finish, and we'll pick up the sprint showdown with just the final kilometer remaining. As a refresher, if you missed the first video in the series, the big sprint contenders at this Giro are Lado's Andre Greipel, Orica Green Edge's Caleb Ewan, and Quick-Step's Fernando Gaviria. Gaviria has already won 2 stages, one out of a small group on stage 3, and in that stage 5 sprint we talked about a few minutes ago. Greipel won almost a week ago on stage 2, and Caleb Ewan is still winless. Right now, it looks like that might change, as Orica is in control of the lead-out as they go under 1 kilometer to go. Ewan is sitting in second wheel behind a teammate. Behind, shoulders are being thrown as Quick-Step tries to fight their way to the front with Gaviria. It might be too late. They head through a right-hander. Bora Hansgrove now is a rider on the front for their sprinter, Sam Bennett. It's Ewan in third, still with a teammate. Greipel is fourth wheel, and Gaviria is 8 wheels back. Is it the worst place to be? Not necessarily, but it's a tricky finish. And as Gaviria is stuck behind a lead-out man that swings out the front, it's going to be the end of his day. Postelberger pulls off the front, and it's Ewan's lead-out man going now. Gaviria has latched onto the back of the Bora lead-out and is nearly even with Greipel. 300 meters to go, and Bora elbows their way past Orica, making gaps exist where none were before. We can just see Ewan rise out of the saddle, and then he dives to the left of the road, opening the sprint. He goes into the chicane, getting as far to the right and then left of the road as he can. Bennett gets onto Ewan's wheel. Gaviria narrowly avoids colliding with the Bora rider and manages to get behind Bennett. The finishing commentary here is better than I could ever hope to describe it. So here, on stage 7, we'll let Carlton Kirby take us home.
Where is Ewan, and here he comes. Ewan hits the front. It's not going to be Gaviria today. It's all about Ewan. He needed this. He needed it so bad, and Bennett's on twin gates as well. Oh, there is Gaviria, and indeed Greipel. But is the little guy going to become the big fella? Yes, I think he did it. That was so close at the very last here. My goodness, we'll have to wait for a replay. That was...
Today's stage is flat, all the way until the Category 2 Mont Saint-Angelo halfway through the day. After that, it's lumpy all the way to the final short climb to the finish. This will, presumably, be another day for the breakaway. After hours of chaos waiting for a breakaway to form, we come into the action with 66 kilometers of racing left to go. Mont Saint-Angelo has been conquered, and the break is 15 riders strong. In this group is a rider named Valerio Conti. At the age of 24, the Italian riding on Team UAE is currently sitting 24th overall, just 2 minutes and 10 seconds behind the current leader, Bob Jungels. Right now, on the road, with the time gap over 4 minutes between the breakaway and peloton, Conti is the virtual holder of the Maglia Rosa. Born in Rome, Conti has grown up in a cycling family. His uncle was a pro rider, as was his father Franco, who also won the amateur Giro back in 1976. Like every Italian cyclist growing up, wearing the Maglia Rosa is a dream. As the kilometers tick down, the dream begins to feel more and more real, for a while at least. But as the peloton crests the Coppa Santa Tecla, Katusha and Quickstep begin chasing in earnest, and the time gap begins to fall. The breakaway begins to shed riders. As we fast forward to the final hill into the finish, there's just 4 riders left. Conti is one of them. His dreams of pink have been shattered, as only 30 seconds separate the pack from the breakaway. A stage win would be more than a nice consolation prize. All he needs to do is beat his fellow breakaway members. Those men are Gorka Izagirre, Luis Leon Sanchez, and Giovanni Visconti. Izagirre has come to the Giro to support Movistar team leader Nairo Quintana, and this is a rare opportunity for him to take glory. Meanwhile, the Astana rider Luis Leon Sanchez has tasted glory like this before. He's a multiple-time Tour de France stage winner, and today will be another notch in his palmarès. Finally, there's Italian Giovanni Visconti from Team Bahrain. Visconti has already won 2 stages in the Giro, and is defending the King of the Mountains jersey from last year, so he has the ability to win. Just past the 1 kilometer go mark is a hairpin leading up the final climb. In order, it's Conti, Izagirre, Sanchez, and Visconti. Conti is coming into the corner fast, full of adrenaline and daring, odds leaning in his favor, and it all falls apart. On the exit of the corner, Conti loses his front wheel and falls onto the ground. Izagirre doesn't hesitate. He attacks, and the other 2 follow. Conti's dreams are crushed into a fine dust. The camera motorbike chases after the front 3 as they are flying away on the hill. Izagirre, all the way, holds off Sanchez, and then Visconti all the way to the line. And on a heartbreaking stage 8, Gorka Izagirre becomes the second member of his family to win a stage of the Giro, 5 years after his brother Yon. The GC contenders all finish together, for tomorrow is the day of battle. Blockhouse calls, and we must go. The second summit finish of the Giro takes riders up 13.5 kilometers of climbing with over 10% gradients constantly on the way to the top. All eyes are on the favorites, Quintana, Pinot, Dumoulin, Nibali, and the rest. And hopefully that today's stage leads to a bigger shakeup than the one on Etna. We're going to hop far ahead towards the end of the race. Just over 15 kilometers to go. The peloton is all together, speeding towards Blockhouse, the GC team's fede for control. From left to right on the helicopter view are Sunweb, Team Sky, BMC, Movistar, and Lotto and El Yumbo. Suddenly, coming into the frame on the left side of the road is a motorcycle, one of the many that are part of the race support. It stopped, unmoving. There is no avoiding what is about to unfold. A rider from Sunweb tries desperately to avoid the moto, contorting their body as much as they can. The end result is the same. They hit the ground and the dominoes fall. The biggest domino is a majority of Team Sky, including Geraint Thomas, who's had to pop his own shoulder back into its socket. His Giro, right now, is effectively over, and when Mikel Landa drops back to help later in the race, any hope Team Sky has of ending the race in the Maglia Rosa has essentially evaporated. They aren't the only ones. Adam Yates, currently wearing the Best Young Riders jersey, was also taken down in the crash, and will spend the rest of the day racing up blockhouse to limit the damage. For those left standing, the climb begins. Movistar is pulling the peloton up at a high speed. Everyone strung out, single file behind. Latched onto the back of Movistar is Vincenzo Nibali, who watched Quintana, the shark of Messina, locked on its intended prey. With 10 kilometers to go, the peloton has been reduced down to just 20 men. Thomas and Landa and Yates are all chasing desperately to limit their damage, a secret race inside of the race. Back in the front, race leader Bob Jungels has finally cracked. He has done so well to hang with this group for so long, and he'll always have a few Maglia Rosas in his closet from the last few days. But this is the time for a true contender to pull on pink. 7.8 to go. 11 men left standing. Only Quintana has teammates left. 2, in fact. The main contenders are still here, but the others, the B-plus players, are falling by the wayside. TJ Van Garderen has faded. Another year of American GC hopes coming to an end. More surprisingly is that Ilnur Zakarin is being dropped, and being dropped hard. Zakarin was the only contender back on stage 4 that actively attacked, but fate and form are cruel. Movistar is slaughtering the competition, and at the back of the group is Tom Dumoulin. He moves up quickly though, alongside Nibali, and shoots a glance across to him, maybe to say something or to judge the form, see what legs are saying. Pinot is here, as is Kruijswijk, Bauke Mollema, a man we haven't mentioned. Similarly, Domenico Pozzovivo is here too, looking to better his 5th place overall in the 2014 Giro. The camera cuts away, just to confirm Van Garderen is indeed still losing time, and then cuts back just in time to see Quintana attack. Nibali and Pinot are the first to follow. Nibali in a strangely aerodynamic position for a climb, but it works. And now the front 3 have a good amount of distance to the rest of the field. Around a slight left-hander, and there's a little space on the left of the road. Pinot takes this as an opportunity, and the Frenchman attacks. Pinot always races on passion, and this is yet another example. Quintana and Nibali are right in the wheel, and Quintana takes control again. With a 5.6 kilometers left, it's still those 3 at the front of the race. But just 20 seconds behind is the chase group with Pozzovivo, Mollema, and Dumoulin leading them. Thomas is still trying to mitigate the damage, and the gap right now is only 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Not great, but not insurmountable. 4.8 to go. Pinot takes over again, riding on the front, setting the tempo. Nibali is behind him, and the third wheel is Quintana, and he's beginning to rise out of the saddle, then strikes, attacking into the steepest section of the corner, and the gap has opened a few bike lengths. It's Nibali chasing, Pinot behind. The rubber band is stretched, and then it snapped. Nibali can't keep pace with the Colombian, and neither can Pinot. They aren't immediately losing time, but the eye test tells you everything you need to know. The hairpins on the climb offer the punchy Quintana launch pads to push the tempo on, and he is putting on a masterclass today. The gap grows and grows. 3.6 kilometers left. Quintana is still flying, behind the battle for second. Pinot attacks on another corner, out of the saddle, all hard. Nibali can't rise. In the saddle, head bobbing. All he can do here is ride his tempo, stare at the watts, and pray to God they're good enough. The gap to Quintana is only 17 seconds, but here, on the first showdown, it feels like minutes. As Nibali slips back, two contenders move into frame. Bauke Mollema is latched onto Tom Dumoulin's wheel, the two Dutchmen in tandem. Dumoulin is using his time trial strength, the world-class rider pushing at his exact tempo, reeling in the rest of the race. At the front, Quintana shows no signs of letting up. This is his day. It's certainly not Nibali's. Mollema and Dumoulin have left him behind, and it seems that the shark bit off more than he could chew today. The race is now all about time gaps. Barring a complete collapse, Quintana has today in the bag. But by how much? There's still 12 stages after this, and every second counts. Perhaps just as impressive as Quintana is Dumoulin, and by extension, Mollema. Dumoulin has bridged up to Pinot with 2.5 kilometers to go. The gap is just 30 seconds. 2K left. Mollema, perhaps the biggest surprise of the day, can no longer hang with Dumoulin and Pinot and begins to fall behind. With Dumoulin and Pinot, the difference in the pedaling style is fascinating to watch, as if their conflicting styles is reflected physically. Back at the front, and with 1.3 kilometers left, Quintana is practically grinning, buoyed by the adoring fans. 700 meters left. Quintana is metaphorically and physically on top of the world, the endless vista of mountains and valleys spread out before him. Just under 30 seconds behind, the tall duo chases, but they're out of road. Pushing all the way to the line, Nairo Quintana takes the stage, the Maglia Rosa, and the first battle in the war. Behind, Pinot takes second and Dumoulin third, only 24 seconds behind. And in the world of Grand Tour racing, that can be gone in the blink of an eye. This is what the overall standings look like as they head into the rest day. Both Yates and Thomas are now minutes down, not even in the top 10 anymore. But the top 4 are separated by less than a minute. The battle lines are being drawn. On the next episode, the art of brutality and shaking things up.